Hi there. Welcome to our show home. Come on in, take a look around.
Whoa, look at this floor plan.
Yeah, it's an open concept.
And this granite countertop. Magnificent.
Yeah, at Calbridge Homes, we
Is this interior finishing for real?
Well, yeah, it's actually inspired by...
Shh. Just...
Okay, then.
Our salespeople make every effort, but a CalBridge home speaks for itself. Visit one of our 15 show homes in Calgary or Cochrane, or visit calbridgehomes.com.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, ladies, and you've just tuned in to Divas That Care Network. My name is Candace Gish, and I am the host of this call. I am so excited that each and every one of you has tuned in today. I have a really special guest today. It is her first time on our show, so we're going to be welcoming her to our Diva family. Her name is Kate Nelligan, and you know, ladies, I'm really excited for you to meet her. She has a really cool thing that she's doing in her business. But I love what her and I had this opportunity to talk in the past, and what she's doing really resonated with my heart, the things that she's doing, and I really love that she's going to be able to share that with you guys all today. Our show has now been running for over 8 years, so I know for any of you that have just tuned in today, and we want to welcome you to as our brand new listeners, but you know, make sure that you check out all of our recorded calls. We have a great website at divasthatcare.com. And all of our shows are recorded, so you can definitely check out all our amazing guests that we've had. But today, as I said, we're going to be talking to Kate Nelligan. And Kate, I'm so excited. Welcome to our show and welcome to our Diva family.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited. And as I said, you know, you've got some amazing things that you're doing out there. You're really, to me, you're a real big change maker. And I want you to spend a couple minutes here sharing a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. So I have had kind of an interesting path in that I think I've always been an entrepreneur, but I, like many women that I actually work with, got directed into corporate America, or into that path I think that we're kind of conditioned to take, which is go to, get great grades, go to a great college, come out and get a good job and make sure you provide for yourself and, move forward in that direction. And I've always been a lot more of a free spirit than that. And so my path has taken many different curves. And I've spoken actually before on what it means to start a next chapter. And so, because I've had a lot of them. So I've always sort of been in the entertainment space, worked in New York City, worked in Los Angeles, worked at a big movie studio. My goal was to be VP by 33, and I hit it at 31. So I was very driven, very ambitious, and I thought I wanted to run a movie studio until my life took a major curve when I got my master's in spiritual psychology. And that was really a time for me to really come out of this kind of ego-driven lifestyle into my heart, into much more of loyalty to my soul. And I started to realize I had a lot of gifts. My intuition was really activating, and I was not interested in working on horror movies anymore. It was something that was just totally out of alignment for who I am. And so I decided to start a conscious media channel and was really the first to curate hundreds of uplifting and inspirational videos before Upworthy, before a lot of these other channels that we see today, and was very, excited and successful in doing that. But during that time, I actually really wanted to take my master's degree to many others because we're really taught many different counseling strategies, communication skills, and I felt like there was nothing on the planet like this education, and I had a lot to teach. And a lot of my friends were becoming coaches after that program, and that was really in my heart to do as well. And so I started to do workshops, I started to speak, started to write, all of which was really, really fulfilling for me. And then horses kind of came in and took over my life, took over my business life. So I went in that direction, and I've loved horses since I was a kid, and I didn't realize that they were such deep teachers and healers, and that I could partner with them and use my intuition and my gifts and my training with their natural ability to, in many ways, be energy workers, and also to really get people to see deeper truths about themselves and to create. So I felt like this was the best way for me to do what I love, which is being with them, to use my experience and my training, and to really make a meaningful contribution in the world. And for me, that 3 is the checklist, is the sweet spot for our calling and our passion and what we're here to do in the world.
I love it. And when you and I had that opportunity to chat, it was so amazing, the stories that you were sharing with me. And I thought, this is really great. You know, combining all your passions together. And I think that's what a lot of the listeners love, is that they want to figure out how they can combine the things that they love to make their lives exciting and happy. And it's about finding that point in our lives. And there's a lot of people going through transitions right now. We're hearing a lot of that right now. I want to hear what your thought is on that.
Yeah, transitions is one of my favorite things to support people with as a coach. And it's interesting because in the horse training world, we often think about horses as just for riding, and in that space you often hear about natural horsemanship, which is really training, people how to work with their horses on the ground. But horses are always going through transitions. And what's interesting about watching a horse, when we love watching them run, and when we love watching them perform, in many ways it's because they're going through smooth transitions from a walk to a trot to a canter to a gallop. And they're not jerky. They're just this natural, like, I'm in the next pace of my life. And I think right now, there's, especially where we are in this time of year, going into a new season, is something that we're in a transition collectively, and then we have our individual transitions. And one of the best ways to go through them is to set an intention around making it as smooth as possible and looking for ways for it to be smoother rather than to feel like we are jerked or rocky through these different periods. So, for me, it's often about being really intentional about my day, my week, and looking at how can things be smoother? What do I need to let go of so that I can have space for more of what I want? And then really getting clear about what I want and working on manifestation of that. So it's a process, but transition is something that I have helped so many women with, and often a lot of women that are moving out of a corporate environment because that was their identity, that's what they knew, but they're really tired of kind of that masculine programming and paradigm and wanting to move into having more freedom and autonomy on their schedules and really stepping into their gifts and sharing them in a meaningful way where they can be home with their kids or they can see their friends, whenever they need to. It's more nurturing, I think, for women in many ways to have an entrepreneurial lifestyle. But also for corporate women to feel, if they're staying inside of that world, to really feel seen and heard and appreciated for who they are and their gifts and their femininity in that world. So that's another piece as well. We don't have to leave corporate, but we definitely have to feel like we're seen there as women and to be in the feminine in that space. And that's a new transition we're making globally as well.
And I just want to thank you very much for saying that, because a lot of the times on our show we talk about entrepreneurship and how women are building businesses so that they can find this balance in their lives. And I love that you mentioned that, because we live in a society that not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, and there is people that work for others. And it's important because those individuals, they need to have that balance the same as the rest of us. And I like how that you work and you show these individuals how they can do that. I want to talk now about, you are an author of a book called Women Will Save the World and the Power of Being a Woman. Can you just briefly tell us about these stories? Because I think it's going to lead into something that I want to talk about a little bit later. And I think it's important that our listeners hear what they're all about.
Yeah, thanks. Those are really beautiful books that two different women led the curation of stories from different women around the world who have a passion and a calling to share their voice and their story in effort to really inspire and uplift other women. And I know Women Will Save the World also gave back proceeds as well to women's charities. So they were really beautiful offerings that both of the leaders decided to put out there, and they asked me to be a part of it because I think a lot of people have really liked my story of kind of going from corporate to calling, and also the uniqueness of the modality of equine-assisted life coaching as well. And so it's just been a joy. I've met some other great women from those books. I think being part of a collective of stories is a way that we can grow our community. It inspires ourselves, plus we're making a contribution. So for me, those compilation books are beautiful because they really are a perfect way of both giving and receiving at the same time, and also letting our stories and our voices be heard, because that's how people really get to know us. That first time I wrote that story was actually an experiment for me in vulnerability, because it was the first time I started to show the world my shadow and a more public side of what I struggled through college, and why, I used to be an atheist and now I have a master's in spiritual psychology. So really what happened for me in my transformation and my journey, and knowing that we can really profoundly change in big ways. So it's really nice to write our stories and to share them with the world. I highly encourage women to do that in any platform, their own blog, blogging on other sites. I've blogged for Huffington Post, Thrive Journal. There's a bunch of wonderful places to get your story and your wisdom out.
I love that. And we at the Divas That Care Network are very big supporters of that. So we definitely will be posting about those books on our page, because I think it's important. You're right. If we have a platform where we can share our stories, we don't know how we can affect or we can impact another person. And I think it's beautiful what you've done. So thank you. Okay. Well, Kate, I know that you've got such a beautiful, amazing life. You are always on the go and you've got so many things going on. One of the things I really enjoyed when you and I had chatted before is that you do play therapy with goats. And I found that was just the coolest thing I had ever heard. I had seen a program, I must have been a month before you and I had talked, and I thought, I didn't even realize that this was a thing. So this might be new to some of our listeners today, but can you share with us a little bit about what play therapy is?
Yeah. So it's so funny. I think it is new to many people. I remember the first time I saw something for goat yoga, and I thought it was brilliant. And it is all cropping up all over the world now. People who have goats on their farms are asking people, yoga practitioners, to come in and lead yoga workshops. But what happened for me with the goats that I partner with in Los Angeles and eventually in Colorado, where I now live, is I was, people know of my equine-assisted work, and that I partner with horses for personal transformation and professional development. And I got reached out to by the biggest kind of goat therapy / goat yoga place in Los Angeles called Hello Critter, and they're these incredible goats. There's 4 of them, and they travel on all these journeys, and they do all these really interesting things. And so I wanted to do play therapy with them. So we collaborated and offered that, and brought in a group of people who really wanted to kind of release ways they hadn't been able to play in their childhood or weren't playing as adults, because it's not always something that we're encouraged to do, although it is a major state shifter and game changer for our business and our life when we allow ourselves to play. So we jumped over jumps, like the horse jumps. We did a ceremony, and we did hiking and some meditation, and it was really just a ton of fun. And I also do goat hikes with them as well. So done that with some corporate teams, and then also with just the general public. And there's more in the future to come with goats. In the past, I've done an animal film festival, so hoping to do more in that space with them too. And the goats are really different from the horses, and I really felt called to work with them after I had done a sound bath with them, and I just couldn't stop smiling for about 3 hours, and my mouth actually hurt from that. So I decided, okay, the horses are very different. They're very peaceful, very calming, very powerful, very deep, very emotional, and so they're potent. And I love them, and I feel so loved with them. And with the goats, there's just they're super curious, very confident, and very playful. And so I just decided, okay, this is is what I need right now in my life, and I want others to smile this much. And that was really the intention behind it, is like, could we get the rest of the world smiling this much just by being with goats? So it started from that place of wanting to pass on joy, and they are so great at that. So yeah, I decided to goat for it, and it's been really fun to partner with them.
I absolutely love it. I just think that is the greatest thing. I have always been an animal lover, and anybody that knows me, I've always been around animals. I grew up on a farm, and I just absolutely think what you're doing is fantastic, and I can't wait to see more of that up here in Canada. I know that there's probably a lot of it throughout the United States, and I haven't heard of a lot of people doing that up here, so I'm actually looking forward to it. And after our calls, too, I'm actually going to be sending this call to a few of the individuals that I know that have goats and to see what they think. So that is great. Okay, so Kate, tell me, I know that you've got a lot of passions, and there's a lot of causes in this world that are important to you. Do you want to take a couple moments to talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I definitely am led by the animal causes, animal welfare, the wild horses. I think there are many people that don't know, just like they don't know about the power of the goat, they don't know about the wild horses and the issue there. And not to shift to a total downer, but they are, that is a tough issue, and there are different sides, and there's not always clear solutions, but I know in my heart, and I think the rest of the American public would agree, that they have to be protected. And so, what's been fascinating to me is that I ate meat most of my life, although I never felt good about it, and because I love animals, and then I stopped right after my horse passed about a year ago, and I just couldn't. I could not touch animal meat and haven't since, and so and won't. And for me, it's diet is a personal choice, but I think food is another thing I'm passionate about, and the beef industry affects the wild horses, so that's something for people to look into. If they say they love horses, they may have to really consider one of the best ways to protect them is actually to not eat beef, and also to get involved in the cause and learn more about it. But that's certainly one, and healthy diet is another. I think that I've realized so much that when I'm eating healthy, I'm in a place where I can serve so much better and feel better. I'm happy, and when I'm not, and I have a sensitive diet now after growing in my intuition and my sensitivities, so it can be a challenge at times. But I think one of my desires is to see the world really wake up and provide certainly clean water and healthy food for the majority of this world, which unfortunately is not the case as of today. And then also for those that really can choose into healthier lifestyles, that they do. I see it even in my own family, not eating as healthy as I feel like they could or should, and I just don't think we understand the impacts yet. So that's something else that I've found a lot of my friends and clients naturally ask me about my diet and want to make self-care changes. So that is a big one. Certainly the world becoming more present and mindful is another, and my way of helping with that is with the horses, because they live in the present moment, so they teach people that. But ultimately, things like meditation and any type of spiritual practice is also it's a cause. For me, that's a cause, moving the world into that space, moving the workplace into that space where there is more mindfulness in all meetings, in all interactions. I think that could change corporate America. So, I think there's ways that we have to take causes on a very individual level, which is taking responsibility for who we are and how we show up, and then we can move that into, our homes, our workplaces, and out into the world in a larger way, rather than just trying to think about like a big cause that feels really heavy or really hard to actually influence and change. I think we can really create the change by doing it each day in our own individual ways, and that moves all of humanity forward in my mind.
I love it, and that is so true. I love that statement. Thank you very much, Kate. So what is next for you? I read here that you've got some retreats that you're thinking of putting on, or you're going to be putting on. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So one of my desires, and really I think as entrepreneurs we have to really think about the lifestyle we want to create, and like our dreams, and we can really create from that end state backwards, really thinking about, okay, what do I want my life to look like rather than what I have to do or should do. And so for me, it really has been about travel. And I find whenever I talk to anyone and I ask them, like, what would bring them joy, besides them saying nature or animals usually, it is how do I travel, right? How do I get myself out into the world and seeing the world? So I've already worked with horses in different places in Austin, Texas, in Napa, California, outside of San Diego, California, and certainly Colorado and Los Angeles are my two main hubs. And I really wanted to extend that to really magical places where people could not only connect with the horses that are there, but also the land and nature. And really, we have so much to learn from nature. I just started to do nature-based team buildings as well. I did some in Alaska, which was wonderful. But we have a lot to learn from being outside. And I think as we get more and more addicted to our technology, we're going to want to be outside more. So for me, that is retreats. How do we get people to really consciously commit to taking time? And it is a commitment. There's, money and travel and sometimes, child care or pet care involved in going away. But it is often that intentional break from the day-to-day routine that we have to take to create change and transformation. For me, that started with a 2-year master's program, and I've done retreats since. So Hawaii is certainly one. Costa Rica is as well. Speaking with different ranches and hopefully, even beyond. So I love doing yoga with horses, and I think that's something fun to do on retreat, whether we do yoga on the ground and the horses are kind of milling around with us, or actually doing some stretch poses on their backs. I think it's something that when I first started doing those workshops, I wasn't sure if the horses would love, and they became super connected to us and each other and stayed in this really beautiful Zen space and meditative stance. And I realized it was something that they actually really enjoy because they feel the union, which is really what yoga is. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to get people outside now. And so whether I'm doing that one-on-one in a private or in a small group workshop or getting a team out from a company to take a break, it is, it's really important. And certainly retreats are another piece and a way for me to travel and for my clients to travel and get outside and start to really learn about how nature is in its state perfect, and that we can accept ourselves the way nature accepts itself, and we can live in abundance the way nature does, and we can reside in our hearts and be of service the way the animals are. And so there's a lot there. For me, there's way more outside than there is now inside. And that's one of my life goals is to get people outside more.
I love it. And you know what, to be honest, I think that's what we need. We need to be outside more. We're so connected to our technology now, and we don't get outside the way that we used to. Even when you think about it growing up, I remember going outside all the time and, seeing my parents when it was dark. They said, be home for dark. We didn't have phones. We didn't have anything. We just went out and did stuff. And, nowadays we don't do that. And we see even the young kids on their smartphones and their iPads, and they're doing their different things, but they're not connecting with what's out there and just really enjoying it. So it's wonderful that you're doing the things that you're doing, because I really believe that as a society, we need more of that. We need to get back connected with being outdoors and just living our lives that way. One last thing I want to ask you, Kate, is how can our listeners get a hold of you? How can they, if they want to work with you, have them come to their location for you to do workshops, or how they can connect with you on social media? What is the best way?
Sure. Yeah, so thanks for asking. I travel to people's ranches if they'd love me to come there. I've also done some stuff just helping people connect better with their own horses, or really offering something to that community wherever they are based, so I can do that. And then I work out of a couple ranches in Los Angeles and in California, and then also outside of Boulder, Colorado. And, there are ways to follow me online, which I'm sure you'll provide the links for on social media. But my website is consciousrockstar.com, and that was really designed to help people move into being a rock star, feeling like they're rocking their lives, and being conscious about it. And then I have the Equine Rockstar as the horse piece, and it really is something that I've started to build a community online with Facebook group and Meetup and others. And then my kind of fun part of the horse world is I realized that selfies didn't have to mean selfish. They could mean self-love if we really took them from that place of, yeah, I do want to take a snapshot of my beauty and also share that with the world. And so Horsey Selfie is a way of through the love of the horse, loving yourself, and also taking selfies with horses, because everyone was doing that anyways, and they're really fun. So I have people share something they love about themselves and something they love about the horse that they've worked with. So horseyselfie.com, and also on Instagram, Horsey Selfie. So those are other ways. But yeah, I'd love to support people, whether it's one-on-one in a group or getting out a company for leadership training or team building. Those are there's really, I think, a unique way of working with people, and sometimes people just have to trust that the horse is going to be their teacher of the year, and the one that can catapult them into the next level for their lives and their business, because people come and they don't know what to expect, and every single time they leave awestruck and completely blown away about what happened, and always smiling, having that joy, which is huge and important today. So thanks for asking.
Oh my goodness, Kate. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Thank you so much for being a part of our Diva family. You know, it was a pleasure to talk with you and to learn so much from you today.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. And thanks so much for what you're doing. I loved when we shared that you talked really about this being a legacy offering. And I think that's really important. And, letting women know that we care and that they can care about themselves and their lives. It's beautiful. So thank you.
Aw, thank you. And I hope that you'll come back on our show again and share some more amazing things about what you're doing.
Thanks. I hope to too.
All right. And thank you to all of our listeners today. Thank you, each and every one of you that has tuned in. We appreciate each and every one of you. That's why we continue to do this show for the last 8 years, is because of our amazing listeners. I hope that you will check out this call. You will send it to all your friends and family. We will be posting it on all of our social media and especially our website at divasthatcare.com, where we have all of our other past shows. So check out those amazing divas too. Check out all of our other hosts that have great shows. And ladies, we thank you so much, and I hope that you pay it forward in some way today. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hear that? It's the sound of ATM fees taking a bite of the things you buy with your cash. Luckily, with a TD Unlimited checking account, you pay no TD fee at any ATM in Canada. Open an account today. TD, ready for you. You may pay a fee to a non-TD ATM provider.